there, Chick Chat. We're back with Teen Mom episode 6, and this was kind of dull for me, but we were going to start off with Bentley getting his license, and basically that's what happens. Bentley goes with Macy to go get his license. She's like, I ain't ready. He's like, They go to the DMV and they get his license.
I did think this was kind of a cute little scene. Macy says that she's not what?
I said you did.
Just this part, not the whole thing. I could have done without all of it, but I thought that this was cute because Macy talks about how she's not much of a worrier and she usually tends to just let things happen as they're supposed to happen. But she seems to be really worried and concerned about Bentley. And I would be very worried and concerned about my child leaving for the first time too. I remember the day I got my license, I walked in the house after school. And I went in the living room and I told my mom that I was going to take my car and I was going to leave because I could, because I had a car and a license. And she's like, you can't leave. And I was like, why? I have my license. She goes, it's raining. I'm like, I'm leaving.
You can't stop me, Ma.
Yeah, the rain isn't going to stop me, Ma. I thought that this was cute. I know that she's got to be really worried. And I think she's doing the right thing, too, by talking to him about responsibility with driving, that it's a privilege. It's something that can get taken away. We're not just talking about don't do and drink and drive. If you're tired, don't drive. If you're emotional, don't drive. I think a lot of teenagers especially don't realize that you really shouldn't be in a big emotional state in driving. You really shouldn't be overly tired in driving. A lot of accidents happen like that. There's not a lot that they can really do anymore. Bentley's about to be gone.
Yeah, it's funny that she didn't say anything about texting and driving because we've seen Macy texting and driving millions of times.
Very true.
All of them, I feel like I've seen driving, especially Kale. Kale was the worst at it. The funny thing to me about this scene was every time Macy said anything, you just got, yeah. So between like Bentley's little, meh, and then Leah's dad, meh. Like, I wonder if the yeah just starts out little like that and then eventually it turns into a meh.
Maybe. Possible. It could be a Tennessee thing.
It was so Ryan, though. Everything she said, yeah. And you can tell nobody hates filming more than Bentley and Nova. You don't get anything out of those kids when they're in front of a camera.
I know. Well, it's definitely that age, too. You don't want people in your business, your parents especially, and then to know that your parents come connected with all these cameras, we're not talking. I'll play the game, but we're not talking.
Right. How much did they bribe these kids to sit in front of this camera? It's probably already a conversation they've had 40 times before, and Bentley's just so over it.
Exactly. They're not talking about anything new here. Did you notice that there was a camera installed in Bentley's car?
Yeah. But you know what? That should help put Macy a little bit at ease. Maybe that's partly for Macy. But yeah, now we're going to be watching this kid drive around and have no emotion because he doesn't care to film.
I know.
I wanted to follow him to school, which I thought was precious, but we can't be doing that because then you'll just have a habit of stalking your own child. And at that point,
that's true. And you know what? My anxious ass, Bentley's not even my son, but as soon as I saw this and saw him driving away, I was like, I'd probably follow my kid to school the first day. And then 2 seconds later, we got that.
I wonder if we should follow him. Man, does Taylor drive? I always see Macy driving.
He has to drive because I know he drives the kids around and stuff, but I don't think he films like that. Okay. I think he's kind of more, he'll film if Macy's involved, but I don't think he's going to agree to have a camera in his car.
Well, no, I mean, like, every time he's with Macy and they're driving somewhere, I feel like she's always the one driving, or they get a car or something like they did that.
Well, yeah, I mean, they always drive in her truck, and she loves her truck. Benny ain't getting my truck.
We'll just give him this big ass blue one that stands out.
Give him the same blue truck.
This way I can see him on the highway when I follow him.
It's true.
Anyways, that's all I got to say on that storyline. I did actually think it was cute to see the little kids interacting for about 5 seconds, but we're going to go over to Ashley. Ashley is still dealing with this court case thing. She's really stressed out. She wants to start going to therapy because apparently that's what emotionally stable adults do. At least that's how she explained it to Holly.
I love that. Mm-hmm. She fills Holly's brain with just the best information that a child could have. And now Holly, the first thing that she knows about therapy is going to be that it's what emotionally stable adults go and do.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
She's doing a great job with that little girl.
No matter how stressed she is, she does good with Holly.
It just reminded me of when I used to go to my brother's therapy appointments and stuff, and how, like, waiting in the lobby, I was like, oh, poor Holly, she's just sitting in there waiting, because I remember those were just like the most torturous hours of my life, just sitting in a waiting room for no reason, in my opinion. I mean, it was a reason for my brother and stuff, but to me, I was like, what am I doing here?
For your life, what a lack of purpose, boy.
Yeah, that was before phones and everything too. So I really just ran around the waiting room doing God knows what.
God knows what. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so she has this friend that looks like she could be her mom, honestly. I don't know where she met this friend, but this friend goes to pottery with her and then eventually later out to eat with her.
I almost feel like this is her mom's friend. Like they're both lonely, you know, she's lonely for her mom and her mom's friend's lonely for her mom. So they came to hang out.
I wonder if it's like a neighbor or something.
It could be. I mean, it could also be somebody maybe that she met through nursing school. I mean, Ashley's lived a life. I don't know. She could have met this woman anywhere, but she does look a little bit older. So I wonder how she met her, or maybe she just be looking like that.
Doesn't she have a throat tattoo or something?
Yeah, she did.
I don't know if she met her at nursing school, but
I mean, Ashley is going to be a nurse.
Yes, but I don't know about this other lady. And maybe she met her at one of Bar's things. I don't know.
One of Bar's what?
Events, hearings, something. I don't know. Nothing against the lady. It's just I don't know if it's nursing school related.
I hear you. She did have a neck tat. Nothing against neck tats. I'm sure there's a nurse out here with a neck tat.
Anyway, so they are at the pottery thing and they're talking about going into a hypnosis appointment. Apparently, Ashley was scrolling through TikTok and saw that hypnosis works. So she's going to try that out for therapy. And I think it's more she's trying to just meditate is what she seems to want to get out of it.
Well, I think at first, like right here, I don't think she really knows what she's going to get out of it or even necessarily what she's looking for, but she definitely is looking for something other than talk therapy, which I think is a good idea. It's good to try other things and try other ways to release. I think even what she's doing right now, just widening her support system, creating something, a lot of times that can be really helpful for things like depression. So I think she's on the right path. But yeah, she does find her way into a hypnosis session for emotionally mature and intelligent people. She did tell her friend about this experience and she described it more as like a meditative thing. I don't think people get hypnotized in therapeutic settings like they do when you have them at high school dances where they're clucking like chickens and stuff. I don't think it's really that deep like that.
From my few psychology classes, Amber, what I remember about hypnosis, because one of my psychology teachers was pretty affluent in hypnosis. And cool. He tried to hypnotize us and all types of things. What he said is that hypnosis will never work if you're not open to it. It's one of those kinds of things. So if you go into it and you're not open to it at all and you just see it as a bunch of mumbo jumbo, you're not going to get anything out of it. But if you do go into it with an open mind, sometimes depending on how the person's conducting it, you can uncover either some traumas or you can just meditate like Ashley's doing. Like there's like a scale of it. It depends on how deep, I guess, you want to get into it.
I know Tyler's done some of this kind of meditative hypnosis work as well. And we've seen him do some of this on Teen Mom a little bit. I know he's also done ketamine therapy on Teen Mom too.
He's done it all.
He has. He's open to all of it. So I like that they're showing all of this. I think that it's just good to show all the different types of things that are available, and also to show that all of this is a process too. There's nothing that is going to work with the flip of a switch, or everybody would use it and it would be very expensive.
The time I remember doing hypnosis, you do feel very calm when you get out of it. So that is a real part of hypnosis. If you let it happen and you're open to it, you can come out of it feeling very calm no matter, I think, what.
Yeah, I guess what I was trying to say is you're never going to be hypnotized into doing anything that's embarrassing or silly. I know that they had a hypnotist at prom when we went to prom, and they were hypnotizing kids into clucking like chickens and doing all these weird things. And I know that there's all kinds of... My prom, yes.
Oh, wow.
It was a sight to see the popular kids clucking like chickens. Like they were legit hypnotized. I think that they were. There was no way
Do you think school was trying to just get y'all to not be like getting it on after? They tried to throw in some little subliminals in the middle of the hypnotizing, maybe? Because I've never heard of that happening at a prom.
But they weren't hypnotizing all of us.
I was wondering why you're sitting here acting like it's normal to get hypnotized at your prom. I don't think anyone else has had that experience.
It's kind of like when a magician comes to your prom or whatever, like it was the entertainment for the night. But they didn't hypnotize all of us. It's not like they turned on a movie and made all of us watch it.
You got a show? All we got to do was dance and eat.
Yeah, it's like there's always entertainment.
What do you mean always? I don't know what kind of hip hop in school you're going to, but I don't know about always.
It was Western and it was small.
All right, chick chatters, y'all let me know if you got hypnotized on your prom.
Not hypnotized, but let me know what your prom experience was like, because I know everybody has different ones. Yeah. I'm not saying everybody.
Let me know if you had some kind of performance or
some kind of entertainment situation. Yeah, did someone perform something? Was there a singer? Was there a magician? Was there a hypnotist?
Did P. Diddy come?
Did P. Diddy come?
Yeah.
Did Ariana Grande come?
Did Ariana come and steal your boyfriends? Yes. Anyways.
Deep relaxation. Yes. I know there's a lot of misconceptions about what hypnotism is and what it can do. And it makes people feel really vulnerable and uncomfortable. And that's not the point. The point is this, peaceful.
So do you think that Ashley, with just hypnosis, do you think she should pair it with some kind of other therapy? Like what would be more ideal? Because it sounds like she's dealing with trauma as well with this whole bar situation. She's putting in Ring cameras because she's now concerned for her safety and things like that, which she should be.
I don't know what she's struggling with, but I don't think she's doing anything that's out of the ordinary, right? 9 times out of 10 people have Ring cameras these days, so she's not doing anything that's wild. If she was maybe barricading her doors every night, which we wouldn't know about, that kind of thing, then maybe that would be a good idea to go and talk to somebody more than this. But this can be definitely a good start if she can get some peace and calm. When you're in that state of scared all the time, you're not thinking straight. So you're not making the best decisions to keep yourself safe anyways. So if she can get some peace and calm, she might be able to just heal. This was one thing that happened. So she knows how to keep herself safe. She's a pretty emotionally intelligent person anyways. So I think this is a good start. And if it doesn't help in a while or it gets worse, then talk therapy might help. But it seems like she's already done that and that's not been helpful either.
Did you notice she got a Dalmatian puppy?
I saw a little dog in there. I didn't know if that was maybe her mom's dog.
I don't know because they don't fill in that blank. But if it's Ashley's dog,
the babies, the dogs, they never. It's whose dog is this?
Whose dog is this? Whose baby dog is this? It was like a puppy. It looked like a Dalmatian, and I know Dalmatians are known to be very protective, and they're technically labeled an aggressive breed. But you should know how I feel about those kinds of labels. I think it's more owners are aggressive breeds, but teach their own. That's how you raise a dog, just like how you raise a child in some sense. But I just wonder if part of getting the Dalmatian was also for protection as well, because they are very protective of their owners.
Yeah, it's not going to hurt to have a dog. I mean, I have a small dog, and obviously my dog is not going to do anything to hurt an intruder, but they at least alert you, too, when there's people around. I mean, someone could be walking on the whole other side of the street, but if my dog's looking outside, he's going to let me know. I think that there's always a nice benefit to having an animal who cares about you in the house.
Yeah, I got me a little bear.
2 bears. A bear statue and an active bear.
Well, one's a lion and one's a bear, I should say.
That is true. Yeah. You're right.
One is a little lion and one is a very inactive bear. Moving furniture. So Ashley did also learn that her school might be put off for 4 months because the dean emailed her saying you can try again in the fall.
Yeah, I know that she took some time off for her mental health. Somebody did this when I was in one of my schooling programs. And when you're in a program, a lot of times everyone's kind of moving through the program together. And somebody took some time off. And I know that it took them a little while to get back into. So I'm guessing they probably gave her seat away. But I also heard her say some things to her friend about make sure you get all your documents in right away. So maybe she wasn't quick enough about everything going on because she's been struggling. I do like that she has this friend, whoever she is, to call and go have a, what did she call it? A non-crash out dinner?
Something like that. I don't get it.
But I think crashing out, that's what the kids are calling it these days when you're having a freak out, right?
Okay. I didn't know that. Yeah.
I think so.
You didn't get one picture of Throtalina?
I ain't really interested.
My sister's in some type of medical program, and it is one of those things where if you can't really take time off, even if it is for your mental health, because you'll either get really far behind or you'll lose your spot and have to start over. Like you were saying, like it's a group that's going through it at the exact same time. So it's not like regular college where you take a class here and there and you can like go back to taking classes whenever you want. This is a 2-year program type of situation. You have to get through the 2 years and then you're done. That is what it sounds like that she's in.
Yes, yeah. And they're all a little bit different, of course, I'm sure. But when you get accepted into a program like that, it is expected that you continue through the program with your cohort. But I know people make exceptions. Like I said, someone in my cohort had to take a little bit of a break, and I've followed up with them, and they were able to finish the program. But I think it was like 2 years later.
Because they probably had to join another group. And
Like, yeah. You have to join at the same time that they're at. And I don't make the rules, but
that might be why she has to wait 4 months. Maybe the next class has to get to where that is so she can join that class. That's my thought. Because like you said, they probably got rid of her seat. She's been out of it for months.
She got rid of her seat. She left her cohort. She got rid of her seat. Now she has to find a way to re-enter. So they have to find a way just to reintegrate her into there.
She said that her and the dean were emailing back and forth. It was a go, and then now it's like changed. So maybe she didn't turn in all that stuff in time.
Either that, or she had a misunderstanding, or maybe they were telling her all of this that she was supposed to go, and then they gave her seat away. Her seat. I mean, I don't know.
Who's to know?
But I do hope that she gets back to school in 4 months. I hope that they're not playing around with her.
I do feel bad though that I think her childcare is in the ocean right now. It's going to be hard for her to go back into school right at this moment, regardless. Sometimes it's just timing is everything. Maybe in 4 months, everything will be settled down enough to where all that's figured out. Maybe Holly will be in school and all these things. So it sounds like right now it's summertime.
It's understandable to be disappointed and feel angry about that news. It's not what she was anticipating or expecting. But I like that by the time she got to dinner and talked to her friend that she had more of a glass half full perspective about it. Obviously, she's still upset, but she can see that maybe it's just not the right time and she's not ready. If she's saying her anxiety is at a 9 and she's looking for a lot of ways to calm her mental health right now, maybe that should be her focus for the next 4 months so that she's not adding another thing to her plate. Like you said, her mom is gone and she's trying to figure out her support system. So maybe this is a good sign.
Timing's everything.
For sure, for sure.
You know whose time it is Miss Kenzie.
Miss Kenzie.
Yep, we're going to go over to Mackenzie. Her A1C is now down to a 6.5, so we can start the IVF process. And I thought we were going to talk a little bit more about that, but no.
Hurricane Milton came by, gave him a little dusting. Nothing too bad. I don't want to dismiss lives were lost in that hurricane, but for them, gave them a little dusting.
And Brianna, it doesn't seem like it hit really either of them very hard, so that's good for them. A lot of people either evacuated or hunkered down, and it seemed like both these girls hunkered down and they had minimal damage. It seemed like Mackenzie had more damage than Brianna. She had roof damage that she couldn't really see because she's so short, but Sonia let her know it was definitely there.
When Bree did come visit her later on, you could see in her camera on the way there that there was some damage she was reacting to on the way to Mackenzie's, but it doesn't look like a lot went down by Bree. But I think Bree lives closer to Orlando, which is inland.
Yeah. Cassano starts off the Josh storyline by asking if Josh has been in touch with his kids, and she's like, how am I supposed to know? That man don't talk to me and talk to me since before the divorce.
Talk to her before
they were married.
Baby.
They haven't spoken in years, even pre-divorce.
I think decades.
Probably since they were 16, that man hasn't spoken to her.
Yeah, even when he did, it was one word, if that.
It was a meh.
Another meh.
We did get to see one little scene where he drove off all pissed off again. It was nice to see that little recap of her being like, I wouldn't have my phone off if you was gone my kids for 5 hours. He goes, I'm going to listen to this. He didn't want to listen to nothing.
He was the king of showing up and disappearing. Showing up just to disappear again. In the same scene and everything. He
was just there to breathe air and be gone.
Yeah. Goodbye. And speaking of that, Mackenzie is talking about how her kids are starting to catch on to that. Apparently, he's only seeing them twice a year right now. And the original agreement was that she was that he was supposed to provide all the transportation for whenever they would come and visit with him. And apparently the last couple of times, at least since Kaz has been around, they have been providing the transportation as well, which I'm not surprised to hear whatsoever. But I was hopeful, I'm sure like we all are, that this man wasn't just abandoning his children in that way. I know he's not around. I know he lives in a different state, but I guess I was hopeful that the man would just drive a state or two over to pick up his kids once a year. But no, I guess he's not doing that either. We also find out that he's not texting either of the younger two back at all. They call him even, and he's not answering. He told Jaxie he was going to go to an event, and then all of a sudden he was busy and had plans that day. So I just think it's so sad what's going on here.
I ain't shocked at all or had any hope for that man. He was neglecting those kids while he was still married to her. I just think it is really unfair and selfish to only talk to your oldest son. And because if you're not going to talk to the kids, don't talk to any of the kids. Don't be calling your oldest son for what? And it's like the guy conversations and crap. Like that's
and it's so dumb. And these conversations are happening right here, where these two younger kids are witnessing their older brother say, "Oh, I don't even have to call dad. He calls me." When they can't even get a response. Jaxie hasn't heard from her dad in 6 months, Mackenzie said.
She texts him all the time. Just, hi, dad. Hey, dad. And that makes me so sad for her because girls really do want that bond with their dad.
Yeah.
I even feel bad for Nova when Devoyne's not around as much.
Yeah.
I mean, at least she can have better communication. I'm sure if she texts Devoyne, he texts her back or calls her back. But it's just sad that Jaxie, she's very frustrated at the fact that she doesn't get responses back. I think even Bronx is frustrated by it. They said, well, he don't text me back. He don't call me. He doesn't respond to me when I try to call. And that just makes me really sad for those kids because they didn't ask to be here. They did not ask for that man to be their father. And that the only reason he's talking to Gannon is to fill his head with a bunch of crap like he did about X and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So is he only talking to Gannon because he's a teenage boy?
I almost wonder if he has a justification of Mackenzie has moved away and these two were, I'm not saying so young, they obviously weren't babies, but they were young enough that I think he thinks he could just step away and not really be involved. But that's not the way that it works when you have a whole other sibling that you're involving your life to. That you can't just pick and choose which kids you're going to be involved in. You should be involved in all your kids' lives.
Every second I hate this man more. At least be consistent like Amber and be crappy to all of your kids. I mean, he's still crappy to all of his kids because even Gannon said, I learned with the divorce that dad don't stand on what he says.
I know. Hopefully this is the silver lining with Gannon. I know his dad is still in his ear filling it with bad information, but it seems like Gannon is understanding that his dad is not really trustworthy either. Just like Mackenzie said at the beginning of this, Gannon at least is old enough to see that his dad is on some BS and has been on some BS for a while and is not responding to his younger siblings who he loves and cares for. Soon I think Gannon is going to separate himself from his dad too.
Always looks miserable when this gets brought up and stuff. And later when they bring it up in front of her, I got really upset that they talked about Josh, her and Cassano. She's right there. It's like, just tell her to go into a different room. Like Khloie, every time Khloe's around, Jade be telling her to go into a different room. Here's your iPad. Go into another room. Like this girl is sitting here listening to every damn word that you're saying. At first you're trying to be like, but then you're just
technically she's talking about Brie right now. But
she relates it to Josh.
She's relating it all to her as well, which implies her father.
She becomes more openly about her father at the end. She's like, I want more custody.
But she's gone at that point. She did get up and leave. This is the thing. I think Mackenzie thinks her kids are younger than they are. I think she thinks Gannon is younger than he is. I think she thinks Jaxie is younger than she is. And so I think she is sitting here trying to talk so openly because she thinks that if she just does one of these and implies something because she's referring to somebody else, that her kids aren't going to put together that they're being talked about. Trust and believe that they can put together that they're being talked about. And I think that that's why she got up and left. She's trying to sleep. I'm not trying to have you stressing me out over my dad right now. I'm going to bed. He's not coming around anytime soon. It's crazy. But she did get up and leave by the time that they were talking about a divorce because that would have just been like blatantly. I did think that Jaxie had a really good highlight. When Mackenzie asked the kids if they were excited that she's going to start trying for a baby, they were all excited, which I was kind of surprised for. I don't know, for some reason I thought that they wouldn't be as enthusiastic, but they really sounded excited about it. I think they just love Kaz and they feel happy and secure right now, so why wouldn't they be excited about it? But Jaxie does not want to have another boy in her house. You will not be seeing this girl again. She's going to become a runaway.
You know what? I can see that for her. She's very blunt about what she thinks. She's very open. I do think it's because it's Cass, because Cass is their dad. Let's be honest. He was more to a dad to them in 2 years than Josh was all of their lives. Mackenzie said as much when she said Cass has been a consistent support for 2 years, and Josh has not even shown consistency for longer than maybe a month. Not even. And that's sad.
I know.
It makes me wonder, where was this man all the time? Was he really taking Gannon around, showing him all of his girlfriends, hanging out with his favorite child, and just left?
I think so. I know when they were filming, he wasn't around much and he liked to use the excuse that he didn't want to be on film. But whatever he was out there doing, I'm sure he was out there doing before.
Mm-hmm.
He had lots of places to be, I'm sure.
Which is so weird to me. Who is what? I mean, there must be some nice trailer trash ladies out in Oklahoma. What kind of stimulation is anyone getting from this man?
I don't know. I don't even know if there's an attractive photo of him out there. Anyways, they did all decide to scream into a pillow together, which I thought was a really good idea on Mackenzie's part because she did just stir up a little bit of emotions from her kids. And then she goes, doesn't it feel good to talk about it? It's like, no, right now it does not feel good to talk about it. She had them all riled up and angry. So what a good idea.
You love a good family scream, right?
Yeah. This is a beautiful moment.
Mm-hmm. So going from one mom to another, although this is all one mom to another, Bri is talking to us about getting her tubes tied. For some reason, even though she doesn't have a boyfriend and has no prospect, apparently, of becoming pregnant, I don't see why condoms aren't an option for her on the 3 times a year that it seems like she is having sex with strange men in nightclubs, because apparently that's her concern. I mean, like, I get wanting to get your tubes tied, but the logic behind it was a little bit, like, interesting for me. But
yeah, and I can get maybe not wanting to use condoms if you have a long-term partner and that kind of thing too. But yeah, if you're just worried you're going to do the same thing that happened and repeat the pattern, which is her whole thing she's worried about, which is great. I do not want to downplay the fact that she's making sacrifices in her life because she sees the generational trauma that she wants to correct, and she's not even going to give herself a chance. She's going to protect herself from herself and just stop it right there, which I think is very courageous, but necessary. I'm not sure. I don't know if she's making this more necessary in her mind than it actually is.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be one thing if you're really out there thoughting and bopping more than you're letting on.
That's the part where it doesn't make sense, right? She's over here saying she's damn near celibate. So why right now?
Yeah, that's where I have a disconnect, because it's like, if you are thoughting and bopping with random people, you should be using condoms, girl.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not that condoms always work, but you shouldn't be relying on like schmortions. There's also plan B, you know, if you have a condom break issue, you can go get a plan B.
There is, but more and more so, a lot of those things are becoming more threatened as well.
But I do worry that, like Mackenzie was saying, one day she does find a really good guy, and maybe he is like the love of her life, and she wants to have a baby with that person, and then she has to go through what Mackenzie's going through right now. I think tying your tubes is a good idea, but maybe, you know, what's the harm in waiting a little bit to do that if you're not?
I think she has this complex in her head about what her mom has done to her and her sister. And like she said it later on, that she's been so horrible to Nova and to Stella by being young and not knowing what she was doing. And I think she thinks right now, I'm not saying it's happening, but I think she thinks that she's not going to have a relationship at least for the next 10 years. And in 10 years, she's not going to want to have a baby at 40. So
right, but Roxanne wasn't out here popping out kids left and right. She was just putting a man above you, which if you want to correct that behavior, then just stop putting men in front of your children. Wouldn't that be the logical?
Yes, but then that's what Roxanne said to her. And she said, but if I have another baby, then that baby becomes my support. It's not even just another man. That baby now has all my attention, which I agree with. We see women out here, you know which women I'm talking about, having kids and then having a baby, and that baby is now, boom. You know that none of those other kids are going to be the focus. And those kids deserve focus from that mom.
Not saying that she should get pregnant right now or anything like that, but if it was to happen and she wanted to keep that baby or whatever the case is, you can make the decision of, I'm still going to set aside time for my other children. It's all up to her, right? At the end of the day, it's really up to Brianna and whatever her and her doctor can come up with. If she wants to tie her tubes, all power to her. She don't want 3 baby daddies, and I thought that was a dig towards Kale for sure.
Definitely.
I felt that. I think Kale felt that all the way in Delaware or probably Michigan, where she's filming with Caitlin and Tyler right now.
But I think she genuinely thinks that she's hurting her kids by what she's done. And I'm not saying that there's not any harm that's been done by having like dads that aren't around. But I think she thinks she's hurting her kids more than she is because she's providing a lot more than she gives herself credit for. So now
she does. That's why I think she's kind of overthinking it. Maybe
I think she is as well, but I think her mind is made up too. She's kind of like you in that sense. Like when your mind's made up, you're like, yeah, okay, but I'm gonna go get my tubes done.
I do wonder if maybe she should have, not maybe with Stella, but maybe ask Nova, like, how do you feel about how I'm doing? Give me my report card. How do you feel about the attention I give you, like this and that? Because it seems like she needs some reassurance from these girls that she's doing something right. I get that she has a lot of focus on these dads and what the dads are doing wrong, but Bree's doing a lot of things right. And I think her girls definitely see that. So I think she's being really hard on herself and she's preparing for something that may not even ever happen. Mm-hmm. So I think she's really overthinking. But if she wants to do this and she's dead set on it and she's done her research and she's talked to her doctor and that's what they want to do, more power to her. If she just wants to focus on the two girls that she has, I don't see the issue with that. I just think her reasonings are a little bit, okay.
I think it's
overanalyzing.
I don't want to say over dramatic because I don't think she's being dramatic, but I think she's overdoing how much she thinks that she's like the damage that she's done to her kids and how much she thinks she needs to do to fix that.
Because to me, I don't think Brianna's done much damage to her kids. I think more Lewis.
Well, they weren't really around during Nova's young years either. She wasn't being filmed during that time, and she did admit to kind of being like her mom and not spending a lot of time with Nova and spending a lot of time around guys and that kind of stuff. And it seems like she was doing that really all the way up until Stella was born. But I do know the last 5-6 years, she's been a very solid parent, and I think she's already made up for a lot of what she's done. In my opinion, but I'm not her daughter. So I think it's a noble thing to do. I don't think it's a necessary thing to do. I think it's courageous that she's sort of sacrificing her future in this way because she feels already secure in what she has and her kids. But I don't think it's necessary that she needs to do that. I don't think that's going to fix any problems.
Wait till she gets into a huge fight with one of these kids and she goes, the sacrifices I have made to love you.
Sacrifices that I made to love you.
Wasted.
Wasted.
She does go to meet up with Mackenzie somewhere else in Florida. She goes about 2 hours away to where Mackenzie is. I thought it was so cute to see little girls tumbling in the background in the gym and everything. They start talking about their crappy baby daddies, the situation with Josh and situation with Lewis as well. Mackenzie asks about possibly getting full custody of the kids, if it's just abandonment pretty much at this point, if she can just get it. And Brianna said something which I think is really the reality here. If the dude isn't really doing anything, you don't really need to rock the boat. I don't see Josh ever coming back and trying to get custody of those kids. Just like I don't see Lewis ever coming back and trying to get custody of Stella. And if they try, it's going to be a losing battle for both of those men.
Right.
They don't even know those kids. Those kids are strangers.
Especially Lewis. I can barely remember that man's name, just like Stella.
She does ask her about getting her tubes tied, and Mackenzie did get her tubes tied at 20, which I think is insanely young, but she did have 3 kids by then, which is crazy to me. Wow, girl. But otherwise, I don't understand why her doctor even let her do that, but she must have just been fertile myrtle over there pushing kids out every other year. So the doctor's like, all right, let's just put a cork in this. And I'm sure that man saw Josh come in and out of those appointments once too. So he was like, yeah,
we're done here.
Done here. This man does not need any more children.
Yeah, I think the thing really with Mackenzie, because I know 20 is really young, even if you have 3 kids, I don't think there's some kind of limit. I think the thing with Mackenzie is because she has diabetes, she probably could have done it more so at her leisure than probably a healthier person.
Just shows you how
you have a really high risk of health effects with diabetes if it's not well managed. So I think that that's definitely a reason to get your tubes tied.
Just shows you how selfish Josh was. He could have just got a snip and helped her out that way.
But I think Josh is probably one of those like spread your seed type of guys. You know, it's not like he cares too much about the consequences of that.
He's probably got a few more out there. I wouldn't be surprised.
I'm sure I have a feeling.
I have a good feeling, especially the way he'd be neglecting his original kids. I think he'd be neglecting all of those scatter kids. But
so they talk a little bit about raising teenagers and how hard that is. And how they don't really quite know what they're doing. But I thought that it was funny. Bree had brought up that book that we talked about, I think, a couple of episodes ago, the Girls Guide books. And she goes, I just give Nova these books, and she comes and asks me questions. I'm like, Nova is 16, and she just gives these questions. Oh, yes, you're right. You're right. Because she's so damn tall, I keep classifying her with all the big kids.
She's probably getting these books when she was like 10. I remember that's around the age my mom started giving me those books. That's pretty much how my mom went about it. My mom didn't really talk to me about it. She just gave me the books, and if I had questions, I asked her.
I loved those books. I thought they were very informative.
They were. I remember the little section about pasta, making your boobs grow, and I was like, well, that explains some things for me.
I don't remember that part, but I'm sure you remember that part.
Oh yes, I
Probably
do.
a core memory for you.
It was a triggering moment for sure. It made a lot of things make sense.
And this was very validating to me to know that another 31-year-old also still feels like a teenager, because so do I, girl.
I think we all do.
I think so. The more that older that I get, at 30, I'm like a decrepit lady. I don't think anybody feels like an adult.
I think it's pretty natural to feel younger than you are. I think even old people will say, I feel like I'm 40. You hear that a lot with older people, like they don't feel their age inside. But my body.
She's referring more so to like, I don't feel like I have it together.
I don't think anyone does in this economy.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. I don't think anyone does. They go back to Mackenzie's house to have some food and play some more with some. What was Jaxie doing up there? She was on a bar upstairs flipping around.
They bring the gym back home as well.
I mean, that's Mackenzie. So they talk more about the whole custody situation, and they just kind of commiserate at the end of the day about how hard it is to raise kids. And we all learned that Nova was in therapy just now.
I'm not surprised. I feel like all these kids have either tried therapy or been in therapy. Bentley was in therapy. Leah's now in therapy.
It's what emotionally intelligent people do.
There you go.
It is sad to hear, especially in the situations with Mackenzie and with Bree. These are two fantastically wonderful moms, and let's lump Gary into there as well. These are fantastically wonderful parents, and yeah, their kids are still struggling with stuff that doesn't matter how good that they do. Other parents are still causing them harm, and it's tough to see.
And even with Cass being there, it's still not their actual dad. So to have him ignoring your text and things like that is just sick to me. Like it takes 5 seconds to text your kid back. Yeah. Just say, I'm doing good. And how are you doing today? How was school? Something. I just wonder what it's like when he's around them in person, because he only sees them twice a year and then he doesn't text them throughout the year or check in, I guess, when there's a hurricane or things like that. So it's like, what do you have to talk about in person? It's got to be so awkward the older that they get when they go see him, other than Gannon. What do you have to talk about with your kids? Or do you just ignore them when you're with them too? And you just.
No, that's a good question. I mean, he's not tapped into their lives in any way. He doesn't know what they're doing these days. So yeah, I don't know what the hell they would talk about.
Because whenever we see Lewis come visit, it's awkward as hell.
Yeah, because he's not tapped into her life at all. But Lewis has never been around. Like it's clear that Stella forgets his name most of the time. And at least that's a little bit different with Mackenzie. I think all 3 of those kids have core memories of who their dad is.
Yeah, he might have just been sitting there, but I guess he was around.
He was at least there. Yeah. I'm not saying anything is better. With Stella, he's not involved, and with Nova, he's involved, and then he's not involved. It's both bad.
It's all bad.
It is all bad. It is all bad.
Speaking of Nova, she did get to go to a little Taylor Swift concert with Grandma Roxanne, and I thought that was really cute. I remember doing like little activities with my grandma here and there, but never a concert. So that's really bold of Roxanne to become a Swiftie after 50.
Yeah, I thought that was so cute. And honestly, you can't help yourself at a Taylor Swift concert. It doesn't matter if you're a fan or not. You just leave a fan. My mom won Taylor Swift concert tickets way back in the day, I think like 2015 or something. And we went together, and that's when she was still sort of country music-y. I don't like country music, so I never really was a Swiftie back then. But free concert, me and my mom went, and we left, and we're both like, I'm a fan. Like she puts on such a good show, just like Beyonce does. It's just fun to watch. Sounds like Roxanne was also converted.
And Roxanne looked good. Roxanne looks really good right now.
She looked a little grumpy, but she looked good.
Well, she always looks grumpy, but she looked like healthier to me.
Yeah.
Now, she is not happy about this tube tying situation, but it's Brianna's decision. She's in her 30s because she's like, well, I'm just not going to let you do that. And she's like, well, I'm 30 something.
Yeah.
And I have had 2 kids. So, and like Brittany says, it's her body, it's her choice. We can debate it. I do wonder if she's ever heard of a condom, but it's a different question for a different day. But Roxanne is just, what do you want, another grandchild or something, Roxanne? I get what she's trying to say here. But I'm sure Brianna's also thought of these things. I mean, Mackenzie and her were also talking about these things. Mackenzie said, what if you do meet a nice guy and all this stuff? And just like Mackenzie, there's still an option when you get your tubes tied. I've heard you can get them untied. I've also heard you can do IVF. You can also use a surrogate, I believe, and things like that.
The IVF process, you don't need your tubes to carry a baby and to have a baby. You just need your tubes to get to
put in. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still a way, if she truly wants to have a baby, she can call Mackenzie again and be like, how was the IVF process? I think if Brianna wants to do this and she's really thought about it, it is what it is. She's an adult, but Roxanne's not happy about it. But here's Brittany over here. She's going to be starting a family probably soon.
That's when you said maybe she wants more grandkids. I'm like, Brittany's going to have more grandkids. So I think she's going to be okay in that department. I thought that this was a pretty bold statement for her to say, you still haven't found a stable relationship, as if she's guaranteed to find a stable relationship. Because look at you over here, Roxanne. You still haven't found a stable relationship.
I'm surprised Brittany didn't say that.
I would have died. It definitely would have been Brittany, right? Not
It would have been right on brand for Brittany.
Mm-hmm.
Brittany's the only one on that couch who's found herself a stable relationship, let's be honest.
Right. I'm not questioning it, let's be clear, but we haven't seen really much of that relationship, so who knows? Yeah, I don't know if Bri ever really will have a stable relationship. It does not seem like right now that is what she's interested in. I'm not saying she might not have one because she's not capable. There's people who don't get married and stay with a partner forever. That's not the only thing we have to do in life. I know that those people sometimes feel lonely, but here is Roxanne in front of us. Your kids have kids. You fill your life with other things. You go enjoy hobbies. I mean, life does not end just because you stopped having children or don't have children or don't have a partner or whatever. They're all still alive. So.
No, that's true. It's just Roxanne's so old school. It's probably hard to retrain her.
So old school that she thinks that a doctor would be crazy to tie a 30-year-old woman's tubes with 2 children.
I think it's more crazy that Mackenzie got one at 20, but
I think so too. I think if she didn't have diabetes, there's no way.
But watch this bitch Brianna go through menopause at 32, like she comes into pre-menopause, because it does happen to some people, and then all this is a viewpoint.
That's true. Could happen. That's a possibility. Oh, hey Bentley.
Anyways, anything else on the witches?
All on the witches. We kind of covered the whole concern that Bri has about her full attention going to a baby, and this is actually when it started to come together for me when she said it like this, because I was really kind of back and forth. I was agreeing with Roxanne. I was agreeing with Bri. I was kind of thinking along the lines that you were thinking. There's lots of ways to prevent a pregnancy. This seems intense.
Extreme. Yeah.
Extreme. Yeah, that's the word. I was kind of thinking that too. But then I thought about this, and I thought, just like you did too, about Kale. And I think she really deeply hates Kale. I think she really deeply thinks that she is a clown. And she doesn't want anything to do with a life like that. And you know what? Good for her. And on business, if that's how you feel. I don't think she's getting her tubes tied because of Kale, but I think she sees a mom like that and she doesn't want to even come close to thinking about doing that. So she's going to protect herself from herself.
I think that makes sense that she just doesn't want to repeat Kale. But at the same time as well, the whole 3 baby daddy thing, I think that's just some kind of stigma that we keep putting in our minds. The thing is, your second baby daddy is the worst of them all. So what if you did find a really, really great guy and that you didn't mind being a 3rd baby daddy because it's your forever person?
Yeah. Well, that's not a baby daddy, I feel like, either.
Exactly.
But no, I see the point you're trying to make. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that she's really stuck on the idea of having 3 baby daddies because Kale has 4 or more. I don't even know. There's been conspiracies about one of the kids.
But I think there's this point, and also she's not interested in dating right now. She might have a couple of hookups here and there, and apparently she doesn't know what a condom is. So I think the risk is high. But she's not interested in dating someone right now. It sounds like she's trying to tell people, if the most beautiful, handsome, perfect man fell into my lap right now, I want to put my full attention on my kids at this time in my life. And by the time I'm ready, I think that's honorable. Do I think it's necessary? I don't know, but I think it's really honorable. And by the time she's going to be ready mentally to be in a relationship, she's going to be 38, 40.
Yeah.
Not going to have kids by then.
No. Watch Stella ask her one day, though, for a baby sister.
Well, you have to wait for Nova, my friend.
Oh man. Well, Nova's pretty much going to be an adult soon and out of the house in 5 years. So
that's what I keep thinking. I guess I think she's 16. So,
anyways, what's for next time?
It looks like Leah's dad might have the cancer. I hope that it's not a life-threatening type of situation. It's something that they can get taken care of, but we're not sure.
Yeah, I think you can lose a kidney. So hopefully they just remove his kidney.
Yeah, hopefully we just give it a little snip and see you later. Don't need that anymore. And that's all we hear from it. But it's always a serious thing. So I hope everything is good there. Maybe we'll learn some more. Gary is going to talk to a lawyer about Amber. And it sounds like they're going to go along the abandonment type of situation. Ryder is sick. It looks like she's at a soccer game or something, but also she's sick at the same time. So she was crying a lot. And it sounds like Cheyenne's going to obviously be worried about that because she has that VL head, which is like a rare disease. And it sounds like officially we learned that Christy has relapsed, as we all suspect. And they're going to do an intervention on this woman. And I know that this is a serious thing, but I've never been so excited to see an intervention in my life. I am on the edge of my seat right now. I cannot wait for next week. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see her call out the setup. I can't wait to see Jade chase her outside and tell her how stupid she looks. Oh, I can't wait. It's gonna be so good.
Can't wait to see her wear the same damn shirt again.
It's gonna be like the height of the season to see her in the same shirt, getting an intervention this time. She's gonna have every experience possible in this shirt.
I mean, she already has been through a lot in this shirt. This shirt's seen some things. This shirt had no idea when it was getting picked up at TJ Maxx that it was going to go through all of this shit.
Through hell and back, let me tell you.
Probably like put me back at the Goodwill where he found me.
I know. Somebody take me back.
I went through less crap over there. But all right, Chick Chat, we will catch you next week. Remember to do all the things.
Like, comment, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Click the share button, copy the share button. The Rihanna thing.
And remember, reduce, reuse, recycle Rihanna, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.